Your kitchen is meant to feel like the heart of your home. It's where you make your morning coffee, let a pot of soup quietly simmer on a lazy Sunday, and spend those little everyday moments that just feel like you. But if you're being honest with yourself, does your kitchen actually feel like that? Or has it quietly turned into a place where you just pile things up and cook when you have to? And here's the funny thing. When our kitchen starts feeling messy or stressful, our first instinct is usually to buy something. Maybe a new organizer, a nicer spice rack, or another gadget that promises it'll make life easier. But think about it for a second. What if your kitchen doesn't actually need anything new? What if the real problem is all the stuff that's already there, quietly taking up space, grabbing your attention, and you don't even notice it's happening? There's an old Japanese idea called ma. People often describe it as the space between things, but that definition doesn't really do it justice. It's more like the pause between two notes in a song, the little moment that makes the music feel complete. Think about walking into a room that isn't packed from corner to corner. You notice it right away. You can actually breathe. That's what ma is about. It gives things room to exist. Without that space, even something beautiful just becomes another object lost in the crowd. With a little breathing room, though, it suddenly stands out and feels meaningful. That's one reason so many Japanese kitchens feel so peaceful. It's not just because people own less, although sometimes they do. It's because they understand that space isn't wasted. It's part of what makes the room feel calm. So here's what I'd love to do today. Let's walk through 10 everyday things that are probably sitting in your kitchen right now. They don't seem like a big deal, but little by little, they're stealing that sense of space, your ma. A few of these might catch you off guard. And honestly, one or two might hit a little close to home because they're not really about the object itself. By the time we're done, I have a feeling you'll walk into your kitchen and see it with different eyes. So let's dive in. Part 1, the fragile remnants. Let's start with something simple, your mugs. If you're anything like most people, there's probably a chipped mug hiding somewhere in your cabinet. And maybe there's a bowl with a tiny crack that you've been meaning to replace, but never really did. You probably keep it because, honestly, it still does the job. It still holds your coffee, so what's the problem, right? But here's something we rarely think about. Every time you reach for that chipped mug, a tiny part of your brain notices that something feels a little off. It's such a small moment that you barely register it, but those little moments add up. And when your kitchen is full of them, it never quite feels as peaceful as it could. Now, just to be clear, this doesn't mean people in Japan throw away every cracked bowl. In fact, there's a beautiful tradition called kintsugi. Instead of hiding the crack, they repair it with gold. The break becomes part of the bowl's story instead of something to be ashamed of. The difference is, kintsugi is a conscious choice. You're choosing to keep that piece because it means something to you. That's very different from a chipped mug that's been sitting in the back of the cabinet simply because you never got around to replacing it. One comes from intention. The other usually comes from procrastinating. So maybe the takeaway is this. If something is worth keeping, give it that respect. If it isn't, it's okay to let it go. Just don't leave it stuck somewhere in the middle. Now let's move over to the cabinet with all your food containers. Be honest. If you grabbed a random lid right now, would you know exactly which container it belongs to? For most of us, the answer is probably no. It's usually a pile of containers and almost matching lids, and every time you need one, you end up digging through the whole stack just to find a pair that fits. One thing you'll notice in a lot of Japanese kitchens is how simple the storage is. Most of the containers match, they stack up nicely, and you can tell what's inside with just a glance. You don't have to keep opening one after another to find what you're looking for. It's not about making the pantry look perfect for Instagram. It's about making everyday life a little easier. You never have to stop and wonder, wait, where's the right lid? And when you get rid of all those mismatched containers, you're not just clearing out plastic. You're making life a little easier for the version of you who's cooking tomorrow. Part 2. The tools you never actually use. All right, now I want you to open that one kitchen drawer. You already know which one I'm talking about. The one packed with all those single-purpose gadgets, the avocado slicer, the strawberry huller, that little tool you only use to cut hard-boiled eggs. We all seem to have one of those drawers. These are what people call unitaskers, tools that are designed to do just one very specific job. That's it. Meanwhile, they take up just as much space as a good kitchen knife that can handle dozens of different tasks. And here's the funny part. Most of us bought these because we thought they'd make cooking quicker or easier. But in reality, they usually end up doing the exact opposite. The more stuff you keep in that drawer, the longer it takes to find the thing you're actually looking for. It's one of those little frustrations you don't really notice until it happens every single day. There's a simple idea behind many Japanese homes that I really like. Instead of asking, "Can I keep this?" they ask, "Has this earned its place?" In other words, is this something you genuinely use, or is it just taking up space? And it's not about being strict or throwing everything away. It's really just an honest question to ask yourself. And while you're already looking through that drawer, take a quick look at your cutting boards and spatulas too. Are there any old plastic ones that have turned cloudy or started to warp after years of use? Maybe a spatula that's a little melted from sitting too close to the stove. We don't always think about it, but worn-out plastic can slowly break down over time and end up in the food we eat. So this isn't only about clearing clutter, it's also about taking a little better care of yourself. When you let these things go, you're doing more than just freeing up a little drawer space. You're making it easier to move around your kitchen without constantly stopping to search for something. Cooking starts to feel smoother, and before you know it, you settle into a nice, natural rhythm. But honestly, the next few things aren't really about gadgets or messy drawers anymore. They go a little deeper than that. Because from here on, we're not just making space in your kitchen, we're making space in your mind too. Part 3. Reclaiming the flow of actually cooking. Take a look around your kitchen for a second. What's the biggest thing taking up space? Maybe it's a bread machine you were excited about but only used a couple of times. Or a juicer you bought with the best intentions. Maybe it's that beautiful stand mixer that's been sitting on the counter for so long that the only thing it's been used for lately is collecting dust. The thing is, these appliances aren't just quietly sitting there. They're taking up space you could actually be using every day. Space for chopping vegetables, preparing a meal, or just making your kitchen feel a little more open. And there's another side to this that we don't always notice. It affects the way we think about the space too. And there's another side to it. Every time you see that mixer sitting there unused, there's this tiny voice in the back of your mind saying, "I really should use that more." You might not even notice it anymore, because you're so used to it. But that's not a peaceful feeling. It's just a little bit of mental clutter that's become part of the background. Then there's the cutlery drawer. Somehow it ends up filled with spatulas, spoons, and tongs, even though we all seem to have a favorite that we grab without thinking. The funny part is, every extra utensil gives your brain one more choice to make. It might seem like nothing, but those little decisions add up over the course of a day. Even those tiny choices ask something from your brain. On their own, they don't seem like much, but they add up over the course of a day. That's why having fewer, well-chosen tools often feels so much easier than having a drawer full of things you barely use. Once you keep only the utensils you naturally reach for, cooking changes. You stop digging through a pile of stuff and simply start cooking. It feels calmer, simpler, almost like a little moment of mindfulness. Part 4. Curating for who you actually are now. Now, this is where it gets a little more personal. We're not really talking about your kitchen anymore. We're talking about you. Somewhere in those cabinets, there's probably a gadget that's holding on to a version of yourself from a different time. A version of you that doesn't quite fit your life anymore. Maybe it's that fondue set you bought back when you loved hosting people all the time, or the pasta roller you were sure you'd use every weekend after getting excited about homemade pasta. Maybe it's that special baking mold you bought for one recipe and never touched again. Now, don't get me wrong, none of those were bad purchases. At the time, they made perfect sense. You were genuinely excited, and that's nothing to feel bad about. But sometimes we don't keep these things because we still use them. We keep them because they're connected to a version of ourselves we've quietly outgrown. And I think this is the part that really makes you stop and think. If your kitchen is filled with tools from hobbies you've long since moved on from, it's probably not showing who you are today. It's showing a version of you from years ago, or the person you once imagined you'd become. Letting those things go doesn't mean you've failed or given up on a dream. It just means you're being honest about the life you're living today. You're making space for the person you are now, not the person you imagined you'd be a few years ago. And maybe that's the better question to ask. Not, what if I need this someday, but does this still fit the life I'm living today? Maybe the question is actually much simpler than we make it. When you use it, does it genuinely make the experience better? Does it feel good in your hands? Is it built to last? Can you use it for more than one thing? If the answer is yes, then it's probably earned its place. But if it's only still there because you feel guilty getting rid of it, or because it reminds you of the past, it might be time to let it go. Part 5. What it actually feels like to live there. Now, just imagine your kitchen for a moment, without all 10 of those things. The counters suddenly feel open again. There's room to move, room to cook, and somehow the whole space feels lighter. Even the light coming through the window seems to reach every corner instead of landing on piles of clutter. Now imagine opening a drawer and finding exactly what you need right away. No digging around, no moving things from one side to the other. It's such a small moment, but it changes how the whole kitchen feels. That's what Ma looks like in everyday life. It's the space between your tools that lets everything else feel calm. Here's the thing. A calm kitchen doesn't stay calm by accident. Clutter has a funny way of creeping back in, one impulse buy at a time. A gadget here, another container there, and before long you're right back where you started. So instead of relying on willpower, give yourself a simple filter. Before you buy anything new for your kitchen, ask yourself these 2 questions. The first question is this actually replacing something I already have, or am I just adding one more thing? Then ask yourself one more thing. Can I honestly see myself using this a year from now? Or is it just going to end up in the back of a cabinet with all the other things I was excited about for a week? That's really all you need to ask. Only 2 honest questions before you bring anything new into your kitchen. And I think this is the biggest takeaway from all of this. A calm kitchen isn't peaceful because there's nothing in it. It's peaceful because everything that's there has a purpose. It belongs. And when you think about it, that's not really just a lesson about kitchens. It's a lesson about life, too. Once you start seeing it this way, you realize it isn't just about the kitchen. It shows up in your closet, your calendar, even in the way you spend your time and attention every day. The goal isn't to have less just for the sake of having less. It's to make room for the things that actually matter. So now I'm curious, which one of these really stood out to you? Was it the chipped mug you've been meaning to replace, or maybe that old kitchen gadget sitting in the back of the cabinet that you know you're never going to use again? I'd honestly love to hear. Let me know in the comments which one you're going to tackle first.